Hey everyone, welcome to Whole Artist Mastery. I'm Marianne Mitchell, and we're here today in my farmhouse, which is in rural Pennsylvania. And it's a perfect place to talk about what it means to be a whole artist, because it really begins with understanding who you are on a deeper level and what your authentic voice is. And then the second part of being a whole artist is understanding how your authenticity, what inspires you and why, informs your particular use of visual language, which is line, color, shape, value, and texture. And then the third piece of being a whole artist is knowing how you want to show up in the world as an artist. And that can be anything from making art purely for your own self-enjoyment and having zero interest in other people seeing it, to really being ambitious about being a professional artist and showing and selling and talking to people about your work and getting into galleries and that particular route, and everything in between. So I'm going to share with you, first of all, how I figured out what my voice is and where it all started from, and the different pieces of who I am and how that comes together to inform the way that I'm making art and what it is that I'm trying to say, how I'm using visual language. And I'm going to help you get started on your own journey to figure out on a deeper level how understanding who you are then connects to the kind of work that you make. And it's really like going on a personal treasure hunt. So I'm going to help you start your own treasure hunt. And I'm also going to talk about how you can download these materials from my website that will help you get started. And I'll see you on the other side. So the first step in being a whole artist is knowing what your core expression is, having an understanding of who you are authentically. Who are you on a deeper level? And a lot of people say, well, how do you go about doing that? Well, my answer is always, it's like going on a personal treasure hunt to find your authentic self. And you look at all different aspects of your life and look for the clues to see how they come together, to see how things that you respond to in the physical world, the different kinds of landscapes, the surfaces that you like, and cities or not cities, or ocean or mountains, and how that may connect with your emotional feelings. And we all have emotional feelings, but we all process emotions differently. And to look at how you process your emotions and how they may be connected to your sensory world. How emotions grow out of your sense of taste and touch and smell and sound and sight. And then how does that connect to your intellectual life and the kinds of things that you enjoy talking about, the conversations that you enjoy having, the kinds of books and podcasts and articles that really capture your attention, and just start putting these things together and thinking about your childhood. Where did you grow up? What kind of house did you grow up in? What kind of family did you come from? What was the family paradigm that you were raised in? Did you travel a lot? Did you stay in the same place? How does that affect who you are now? And how does who you are now come out in your work? Because that really is what drives the kind of work that you make. So in my case, I grew up in a mid-century modern house, which when it was built, it was not a mid-century modern house. It was just the kind of house that was being built in those days. And it has a lot of glass rectangular doors and windows that frame the landscape on the outside, so that I spent my formative years looking out very structural architectural windows that were large picture planes, like big picture frames actually, onto the organic landscape. And I also had a really interesting mix of being a very artistic, being allowed to allow my imagination to just go wherever, to create whatever. Endless hours innovating my own games and you know, inventing the games that me and my friends would play together, and you know, coupled with a very vigorous academic education. So that again, I had this duality of linear thinking and non-linear play, and linear structure through which I was looking out at the organic landscape. And that travels throughout my whole life, that theme of duality coming together to create harmony, to have opposing elements be present in my work. And as they come together, they create balance and synergy. And so that as you look at this painting behind me, which is currently under construction, I'm fascinated right now with the duality of bright light in the midst of darkness, and the mystery of the veils around us, and then the sharp appearance of bright light within those veils. Because I feel like that's what we're all experiencing right now, and so at this point I want my work to kind of mirror what's going on for myself as well as the world, I guess you would say. That's a large statement, but so again, I'm playing with that duality in a very different way, but the visual language is showing up in that structural, architectural form with the organic movement within those forms taking place. So what ultimately I've done, and what I'm inviting you to do, is to see all the different pieces of your life, how you react to situations, what kind of colors you're inspired by, what are your sensory experiences, like what senses seem to be stronger than others, how do you experience the world through sound, through touch, through taste, through smell, and through sight, and how that influences what catches your attention, what inspires you, what kind of stories you want to tell, whether they're totally abstract or representational. Representational artists and abstract artists are doing the same thing. We're both telling stories. Yes, it's important to know how to use line, color, shape, value, and texture, and how they work together to create a composition. But the way that you use those pieces of visual language is best derived from knowing why you're inspired by what you're inspired by, and how visual language can convey what it is that you want to say in your work. What's the story? What's your intention? Whether it's abstract or representational, we're both telling stories. And so knowing what your inner story is, knowing who you are authentically, is the foundation for then understanding how to use visual language. You know, I keep calling it visual language because it's a lot like literal language. You know, we have an alphabet. We have 26 letters in the alphabet. We put those together to make words, and then we put words together to make sentences, and then we put those together to make paragraphs, which become ideas. Well, it's the same thing. We're using line, color, shape, value, and texture. Those are our 5 pieces of the visual alphabet, and we put them together to create compositions based on what it is that we want to say, just like we put words together based on what it is that we're trying to say. What kind of story are we trying to tell? What kind of meaning are we trying to get across? What are we intending to communicate? Well, it's the same thing with painting. What are you intending to communicate? What's capturing your attention? And the knowledge of what that is comes from who you are on a deep inner level. So this is Remy. Say hi. And he and I so hope that you enjoyed this video and learned something. And we'd like to invite you to like it and to subscribe to my YouTube channel and go to my website, wholeartistmastery.com, where you can download the treasure hunt outline and get started on your own treasure hunt to figure out on a deeper level of who you are and how to make really fabulous artwork based on understanding what you're all about. And Remy does that very well. I hope to see you next time. Thanks very much for watching.